Let's get this party started. Jesus Christ, put me in lane 4, lad. Oh, it's close. Charles. Welcome back to the Distance Project channel. This is TDP Uncensored. If you're a new viewer or you've not seen this before, this is a video we try and put out once a month. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. It's basically a roundup of stuff that's been going on with us, updates on the channel, things we want to do, things we need your help with, and then discussing loads of your questions that you've sent in on Instagram related to the running world and different stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little bit of a longer video than we normally do. Try and make it 20, 25 minutes, something like that. But hopefully it's a valuable one. So yeah, Charlie, how you doing? All good?
I'm all good, mate. All good. This is number 5 or 6.
I think it's 5.
Know.
Yeah, I think this is number 5. I think the main thing for us, I've got some notes down here, by the way. But the main thing for us is checking in with you about the kind of flow of the channel and where it's going. So when you tune into the Distance Project, you have an idea of the direction we're trying to take things. So sometimes if you think something's not up to scratch and you're like, oh, that was a bit of a crap video, at least you maybe understand our vision behind it. And equally, if you're kind of sat there going, oh, I really enjoy this content, I hope there's more of it, we can get that feedback from you and work it out that way.
Yeah, I guess since in the last time we did this, we talked about obviously your injury and then the plans for the channel that was supposed to be next year. Mm-hmm. We were then moving them forward into this year. We've now delivered on 2 of those projects with Becky and then the Strength and Numbers series with the Hoka group. How do you feel those went? I think they've gone down well.
Yeah.
The feedback's been good, but how would you think?
I think it's been great. I mean, yeah, like you said, so spoiler alert, I do still have the boot on. I'm in my transition period at the moment of coming out of the boot, and next week will be a down button out video, one of the kind of recovery series videos where we'll have a massive update on what's been happening with me, where I'm up to in terms of progress, and loads of other information where we bring in things that I've been told from a nutrition standpoint, a strength and conditioning, a rehab. So all the kind of stuff to do with me and my individual journey, that's in next week's video. So if you're watching this on Wednesday, it'll be next Wednesday. But yeah, the other projects we've done, I've found it so enjoyable from a personal level. Obviously I can't speak for you, but like the kind of taking a step back and it not being necessarily about me and having the kind of pressure of how am I going to race, how does it fit in with other things I'm doing, because normally I'm making the plans around also trying to perform at the top level, whereas not having to worry about performing and more about how can we really invest more time into the process of planning what makes a good video, what do people want to see, what angles of certain shots should we get, who do we need to work with on a logistics basis. I found it really enjoyable, more enjoyable than I thought it would be. And I think the projects have been meaningful as well. So the videos with Becky Briggs, I think, went down really well. We had I think 35 or 36% of the viewers on those videos were female, which is a lot more than we normally get on videos, which is great because I think that means we engage the right audience. And obviously she spoke about a lot of issues that are specific to females, so I think that was good. And then with the Hoka, kind of Hoka London or whatever you want to call it, the series that we did with them, Strength in Numbers, I think a lot of people bought into the camaraderie, the personalities. I don't think people really cared how fast the guys ran or like what the workout specifically was. It was more about seeing the environment of, okay, how do normal people act in this situation? What are professional runners really like? Which, if you go back and watch this video from 2 months ago, you'll see that's exactly what we said we wanted to do. So in terms of from our case of setting out to achieve what we wanted, I think we have done it, albeit we're yet to have that video that really goes viral or, you know, gets hundreds of thousands of views and then maybe opens us up to the mainstream. But how have you found it from a creation point of view? Because a lot of it is me just saying to you, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, and we're coming up with ideas, but you're the man that actually puts stuff into practice and has the skills to basically create stuff. Have you found that you're able to do that or what?
I think it's been good. I like the fact that we've managed to make little characters out of people.
Yeah. And
I feel at Highgate there was a couple of other media outlets doing interviews and doing like, oh, who are you here to see? And there was a couple of people that were like, oh, we're here to watch they've come to an on event and they're like, oh, we're here to see Rory or like the Hoka Boys run and stuff like that. I think that was pretty cool to see that we've managed to, a small group, guys that are obviously top class in the UK, but not about to break through in like medal contention at Olympic level, but we still managed to make them into characters that people want to follow and came back through each of the 3 episodes.
Yeah, and I think
like that journey. So it was interesting to create and good to actually have the opportunity to do that with you as like a team rather than just you in front of the camera, me behind the camera, and just whatever happens. It was quite a good little partnership that I think we had. On
Yeah,
that one.
and I think importantly for us, like that's the people that we currently have access to, right?
Yeah.
That's. Should I just keep going?
Yeah, no, it's all good. Sorry, it always stops recording, but we're all good.
Yeah, that's the people that we have access to, and we want to use these as case studies to reach out to other people. And one really good thing that's come of what we've been creating lately is the connections that we're gaining and the more interest we're getting from people. Yeah, we've had no brand come to us and say like, hey, yeah, we concrete want to make this and we're going to give you this amount of money to be able to do it. We haven't had that, like, not trying to flex and pretend something's happening that it's not. But the amount of people that I would say within the industry, whether they work for a brand or they're associated with a retailer or whatever it is, that have shown an interest to be like, oh, by the way, I really enjoyed that content. And we know we're getting the right sort of eyeballs now. So even if we're not getting a crazy amount of views or subscribers, the right sort of people, I think, are watching it. That means that hopefully over the next few months we can open some doors. And all the stuff you're saying in the comments, like, are you going to go to Font Remo and continue filming? Or are you going to go to European Championships? Or are you going to do this with the Olympics or whatever? If we had an unlimited budget and time and we could do all these things, we would. But for a lot of it, there's only so much you can create for free or off your own back or with a couple of £100 from a brand before you need to actually stand your ground and say, okay, we believe in the quality of the product. All of you guys are showing amazing support. And that's why we always say comment, because like we show it to people and say, I mean, look at all the comments from people saying how engaged they feel or how connected to an athlete they feel or the moments that they enjoyed that they're not getting elsewhere. We need to stand our ground and say, okay, we know the quality that we can create. This is kind of an appropriate fee for the value. Or if you want to have your brand plastered all over what we're doing or your product integrated into it, you have to place some value on it because we're not just doing crappy little ads. We're kind of trying to elevate it to a level, I would say.
I think we did a good job with both of those of still doing it in the way in which we want to edit it and put it across in that sense that it's still a TDP style video, and we didn't go for, right, we've now got access to these athletes, let's clickbait it, get 5 top tips for your next 10k kind of thing. The only thing we did do, which was interesting, is let's make the video exactly how we want to do it, and then we'll work on the thumbnail and the title and try and make that, how do we get people in, but then give them the type of content that we want to make. But I think standing our ground with produce the content that we think will work long term rather than produce content that we know will work now, will pay dividends, and we're finding the right people. Yes, it's not all come flooding in and we've got 200k on TikTok, but if that's not your audience, why would you go for them in the first place?
Yeah, and I think that's a good segue to what we wanted to mention in this video, which is to do with like what types of content you can expect to see on the Distance Project at the moment. And what Charlie's saying there about how we want to continue creating the quality and sticking to making sure that every video delivers some value. Just because of the logistics, that means we can't produce like a flagship piece every single week. You're not going to see a really well produced multiple interviews, multiple filming days like thing be delivered every single Wednesday. So we have to spread it out with some kind of more low quality, if you will, but still high value pieces every, so often, so it banks us some time to be able to develop the next thing. Yeah. So for example, today you're seeing this episode, which is TDP Uncensored. In the grand scheme of things, hopefully you're still enjoying it, but it's not that hard for us to film. Once we get everything set up, it's kind of like, okay, we do it, minimal editing, everything seems to be fine. So it means that this week, because we're not rushing around doing a million things, we can spend our time working on other stuff and say, okay, we'll go and film some stuff this week that we don't have to rush and get edited. We can bank it, do the same next week, and then that'll make up one really quality video that you'll see. So even though you only see it as a 10-minute video, it might have actually taken us ages to put all the little bits together. And in the nature of what we're trying to create, we might want to film with someone 3 months before the race, then 2 weeks before the race, then once when they get injured. So we have to wait for the moments to arise. So the content you can expect to see, I guess I'm just going to look at my notes, but it essentially fits into what we're describing as 3 categories, aren't we? So you have content that is, we're going to call it like personal content. So that's either continuing to follow my journey, because that is the origins of the channel, and kind of like we had the whole closing the gap, I'm now injured, we've got that sort of stuff. So still connecting between my journey as an athlete and then the business that we're trying to create with the Distance Project. So bringing in Charlie, what's he up to, and kind of content that is behind the business. So this is an example of that video. A down but not out video would be an example of that. We then have what we're calling like long form, feature, flagship, I don't
Yeah.
know, our best content,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
which is like the things you've seen, the series building up to Night at 10Ks, the filming with Becky Briggs, some other stuff that we've hopefully got in the pipeline. And that's stuff that we're not going to put out unless we think it's good. So if it needs an extra week, it's getting an extra week. If we think what we filmed is good, but it doesn't actually make a full video, we might sit on it, wait 6 months, and then we'll join the footage up with another bit of footage with the same athlete, and then we'll release it. That's kind of stuff that we want to eventually be known for, and that's what we can create. But obviously for now, we've got to keep these videos going. And then something that we've been really planning recently is kind of the third content type, which is going to be kind of a mixture of the two, basically, where it's still going to be focused on other athletes, but it's going to be in a much more simplified and structured way, where the video type will have a framework where similar questions and scenes will be asked in every single one. So when you tune into one of those episodes, you know exactly what to expect. In the same way that you might tune into other running YouTube channels that always follow the same structure, and you know, okay, they do an introduction, then they do this, then they do this, then they do that.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that that will bring you access to athletes that you've not really had before, in terms of we're trying to leverage the connections that we've currently got. You're still going to get a lot of value, and you're going to find out a lot about elite or sub-elite athletes based on whoever we're working with. But because it's a lower production quality, in terms of we're not doing a million shots and all this sort of stuff, we'll probably be able to get them out at a higher frequency. So we're hoping for you as the viewer, you'll have a video every single Wednesday, so you have that continuity, and you'll have something valuable, whether it's about us sharing with you and you can learn something that way, about an athlete in a more simplified way, or one of our flagship kind of, this is the drama, emotional music, fireworks in the background, like big piece.
They will be good though.
Oh yeah,
You
I'm
say
not
they're
trying to
simple.
say this shit.
But they will still be. I'd say they'll look closer to the flagship stuff.
Yeah.
But in a repeatable format, so we're able to deliver another piece of content that you associate with the distance project. But then it gives the athletes a chance to be involved in something, so they know what they're expecting.
Yeah, essentially,
it's not going to be a Josh Kerr get ready with me. Although.
Yeah, but if you imagine it from our point of view, one of the big barriers is if you've got an idea and then you go and pitch it to an athlete, you can go to some athletes directly. Some of them you need to go to their agent.
Yeah.
Some of them you might need to go to the brand first if you need their support. And then if you've got a complex idea, so take Becky Briggs, we wanted Becky to speak on topics that were quite deep and personal and emotional to her. So we have to make sure that we go through a lot of hoops to protect her, to protect ourselves, whatever brands she's associated with. So it's a lot of planning and pitching to say, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to film it, we're going to show you it before so you can check that it's all fine, and kind of like, it's a long process. If we did that for every single video without having other content, you might only get one video from us every month or something, which, to be frank, it's never going to grow our channel. 12 videos a year, we'd never get anywhere. We have to have some upload frequency. So what we're doing is we're making something that's easier to pitch to an athlete. So if you're an athlete watching this, we might ping you a message and say, hey, where are you racing? Where are you training? Where are you going on camp? Like whatever the specific video is about. Here is like a 1-page document of what you can expect. It's going to take this long. We're going to ask these styles of questions. And if you want to do more than that, great. But like this is kind of our minimum commitment to you. And then you only need to commit half a day or one day or one evening or whatever it is to that video. And we'll fill in all the other gaps and still make a good piece of content. So we're hoping you'll basically see less of us, because that's not necessarily what you want all the time, and more of athletes, stories, brands, stuff that can kind of be different to what you're currently seeing on YouTube. Agreed?
Agreed. Yeah, should be good.
Quality. Well, that's basically the update from the channel. We have loads of questions that have come in on Instagram about various bits and bobs. One of the most pressing ones, based on when we're recording this, which is the 28th of May, is the Bowerman Mile that just went on.
Juicy.
Any thoughts, Charlie? I'm just going to get up the rest of the questions.
I thought it was interesting. The big standout for me was, obviously, you got the front of the race. That's all exciting. Neil Gourley running 3:47 off cross training. Mental.
Yeah.
The reason why I bring that is, how do you feel? Obviously, he was a overtraining or overuse related injury, then had a clear path back to running. Obviously different, but how does looking at stuff like that make you feel?
Yeah, I mean, the Bowerman Mile was just mental. I thought, like, that's the crazy thing is, like, with running, and I know Jake Whiteman said this in an interview, and to be honest, I'm not trying to make this about me, but like, I'm sure it will be the same with me next year. It's like, in running, unless you've done something recently, people just forget like what you're capable of or whatever.
Yeah.
So because Kerr's so good, because Whiteman's won something recently, or Mills is doing this, or whatever, you forget how good Gawley is. The guy's won European medals. He arguably would have been one of the favourites for World Indoors if he wasn't injured. Like, he's an incredible athlete, but myself included, who is the biggest British athletics fan there is, didn't even consider that he was going to do that well. I was like, I'm sure he'll run well, but like, he's not going to be at the front, or he's not going to run this time. And then he just goes and runs 3:47, fourth fastest of all time or something ridiculous. Like, it is pretty insane, and it shows you that like the talent that you have as an athlete, and if you've been there and done it before, you can definitely. It takes a lot for you to be washed up. Yeah, once you've been there and done it in recent times, you can definitely get back there again if you've had some sort of injury, which is good for me because I'm like, well, if I've run 3:35 before, you'd think I can do it again. Hopefully I can go a little bit better. It's like good hope, rather than thinking, most people that do it never get back.
The only other thing that I noticed that was interesting was, and I don't think I'm clutching at straws here to make this jump, but
probably are.
Hobbs Kessler has been on a couple of other podcasts and stuff recently, and he's mentioned your accident at World Indoors a couple of times. He then gets clipped, and he decides, like, doesn't even take another step, steps off the track. Do you maybe think that obviously people get spiked and clipped all the time?
Nah.
Is he thinking,
what, in his head rent free?
No, but like, is he going, don't, like, there's a long season ahead, it's not worth the risk of trying to get back and get stuck in?
Maybe, but when I watched it, I just thought it was probably a mixture of, once you've been pushed and stuff and you've lost your momentum, you might just think like, well, only if you're him, because he's already got the standard, hasn't he?
Yeah, true.
So he might just think like you said, what's the point here? I've lost my momentum. What's the point in carrying on going round?
Do you get DQ'd if you stepped on the infield?
Not if it's not your fault. I think if you take a couple steps and you jump back on, you're all right. I think. But like, I think he probably just thought, let me cut my losses here. But it also could have been, he doesn't strike me as the sort of guy that would do this, but it also could have been like just a moment of head loss where you're just pissed off and angry because someone's pushed you or whatever, and you just think, oh, forget this. Like,
he's about 12 as well. So
but I don't know.
Last question on that. Purely based on the outcome of that, has your opinions of what's going to happen in Paris changed?
People ask that. I'm going to have to double down because I'm just that sort of person, but I'm going to double down and say Hocker still wins.
Still Hocker?
Who did I say, Hocker or Jakob, didn't I?
Hocker,
or Jakob
and Nordas on the podium you had.
I didn't say Nordas. 100% didn't. I'm pretty sure down but not out one, somebody said who's going to win, and I said one of these two people, and on the screen we put Jakob and Hocker, and I'm still going to back them. I think. Obviously, I hope it's Brits. Hope it's Brits 1, 2, 3. I don't care about anybody else, but I just got the feeling,
Yeah.
But who knows? On that, actually, we've got the European Championship team announcement just got made, which is good for us, really, because we're selfish in the sense that like the more people that we know personally that make the team, the better. One, because it could be potential content opportunities, i.e. if we know people that are racing, maybe we can get something going. And two, it's just more fun to watch your mates or people that you got a connection to. In the same way that you might watch me race and be like, oh, I kind of like watching him race because I've seen him on YouTube. Either I like him and I hope he does well, or I don't like him and I hope he does rubbish. It's kind of the same for us when we get to see people. But Adam Fogg and Neil Gawley got picked for the men's in the 1500. And then in the 800, it was Giles, Callum Dodds, and Tom Randolph, which is great. Randolph, another Hoker athlete, so that's good for me personally. And the 5K was Mills, Jack Rowe, and James West. Yep. So again, all three young kind of people our age. So obviously there's the women's and everything like that, but I'm just selfishly saying it in terms of the people that I'm good friends with. So the team is like I would have loved to be on that team. The personalities and the people on that team is great, and I think they'll also collect some medals. I think we'll get at least one medal out of each of those events.
And
I think
Rory, Zach, and Paddy in the 10K.
Oh, sorry, 10K. Yeah, I keep forgetting 10K's
Rory
in the
Leonard been on the channel.
Rory Leonard, Zach Mohammed, both former Soar running athletes as well. So a little plug for Soar running there. So yeah, that's also cool as well. It is annoying for me because I'm like, oh, what could have been? Like, I did have the standard for the European 1500, and the fact that they've only taken 2 people suggests nobody else wanted to do it. No offense to Folgum Goring, because obviously they deserve it. They've run 3:47 and 3:49, but you'd assume, and I don't know any information here, by the way, you'd assume Kerr and Whiteman didn't want to do it because they're not in the 8 or the 15, and they've got the best times in both. Yeah. And then Matt Stonier, I believe, is injured. I think he's openly said about that, so that's fine. I'm obviously absolutely crocked. And then James West has the time, and George Mills have the time, and they're doing the 5K.
Yeah.
So if somebody else had run under 3:36, I think they would have got picked for Euros potentially. But I don't know how it works with the quotas. How does it work with the quotas? Can you only take a certain team size? I should know this before I go online and just say.
Always take full teams. So.
Yeah, I'm half talking about a subject that I don't actually know about. So anyone out there that knows about it, you can just comment below.
We also spoke about it. Obviously, we went to Boston to get the world indoors time because it was all indoors. But it was always in the back of your mind as well that was like Euros was coming up. The likelihood of British champs, everyone showing up for British champs, who's been out, your Gawleys, Whiteman, they're all going to come back. So did you have in the back of your mind that Euros should have been the target, not putting the Olympics out the way, but you knew that was potentially more realistic goal for this year?
Yeah.
Was that in your mind?
100%. Because look, I didn't have the Olympic time. Is like that would have been an amazing challenge to try and get it. And of course, I had self-belief that I could get it. But look at all the people trying to run 3:33. That's the doorbell. I'll get it in a minute. That's the problem with the Olympic time is that it seems like it's easy because 3:33 doesn't sound that fast these days, but you look at the caliber of athletes that have not got it yet that are struggling and you realise it's bloody hard. So who am I to sit here and say I could have got it? Maybe not. But last summer I did get the Euro time that within this qualifying period. So did I think I was going to run that? No, I didn't. But I'm actually just going to get that.
Anything good?
Should I?
Another pair of Bondis.
It's actually for one of our upcoming brand deals.
Oh, hide that.
Should I put it in the camera?
What's that big swoosh on the side?
No. Right, I'll just put it over here. Is the table in the camera?
Probably.
I'll put it down there.
No, it's not. But the fact that British below 10k and below is so stacked, it's so good to see that people in the top 10 are getting opportunities to represent GB at national level, international level. I'm excited to see those.
What's mental is it's not just the same names. Like in the women's especially, there's a lot of new names. Say new names. That's not to take away from the athlete status. But it's not just the same. Oh, we've got Mo Farah running and we've got blah 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 running. It's like there's 5 or 6 people that could be picked for each event, which is great. Shows domestically how the things are getting faster.
Also, Matt, we said this before. He's been retired for God knows how. He's still qualified for
who?
Mo.
Oh, for the half.
Yeah,
he technically could qualify.
I
think his time is within the window, which is crazy. Sweet. I think the only other thing, because I'm just conscious of the time, we've done the Bowerman, we've done the European team champs. One question that a lot of people asked, and apologies if we've not named who you were. I've tried to put these in buckets for questions. Was towards you, Charlie, which was to do with. One, what are you actually doing? Aside from this, because in these episodes we've talked about how I think the first one we did, you quit your job, or the second one, you quit your other job, and it's where are you going? What are you doing? So all these questions are how's Charlie's training going? Will we see Charlie doing this? Someone asked you how you prepare for a shoot in terms of deciding what shots you're gonna get. Maybe just give it overview. Obviously, I know all the stuff you do. But maybe give it overview for people that just think that it's me on camera being hey, I'm the runner. What do you actually do to earn money outside of this mediocre YouTube running channel?
Yeah, I think that, as I said with Cam, the goal is always to turn this into something bigger than just the YouTube channel and turn it into something where it means something. So a lot of my time and then investment of my time is then involved in that. And with any new business, there is a period where you just need to throw stuff at the wall, see what
sweat
sticks,
it out,
and just put it in. So part of it's that, and just making sure that whenever we can do something, I have the time available to do it, which is a risk on both of our parts because at the moment we're making it work, but it's not in the huge business flourishing stage. But it's the only way it's going to get bigger is if we continue to be available for it.
This is the thing, you've got to believe in you have to believe in the product. I don't think it matters what, and we're not any sort of business experts, but I I think if we were selling something, like if we'd made a product, let's say you make it. Oh, we're making some t-shirts. Actually, someone messaged about that. But let's say you're making some t-shirts. Like, unless you truly believe that if enough people try and know about your t-shirts, that they're going to believe, wow, this is the best t-shirt, I'm going to buy more of them. There's no point you running the t-shirt business unless you just think we'll just sell them once, even though we know they're crap, and then we'll make some quick money and we'll never sell them again. It's like if we thought that this was like a short-term thing, and we could be like, right, how do we hammer it? Let's make I Broke a Parkrun record. Let's make 400 meters on crutches. Let's make videographer climbs Mount Everest. You know, like let's make all these quick sort of things that are going to get loads of views. We'll make quite a lot of AdSense money, but you're not going to be watching the channel in a year because it's going to be like, oh, remember those guys that made that video once. There's no legacy and sustainability. I think right now, and what you're saying about the work you're doing is, like, a lot of your freelance work, I don't know if you want to name any of the brands, but you do a lot of freelance work for, like, sports retailers at the moment and, like, different events that are being set up, like you were at the BMC the other day and stuff like that. The content, correct me if I'm wrong, the content you're making there is, like, very short form, like, highlights.
World class.
Yeah. It's like, but it is good content, but it's like a summary of, like, here's what happened today at this event.
Yeah.
Which is great, and it's like, you need to earn money, and that's like what you're doing. But again, correct me, I don't speak for you, but you're not as passionate about that as you are to maybe like actually investing in, say, like a 6-month project where you're
yeah, of course. But and I think for people that there's a lot of people creating YouTube channels or Instagram pages, and whether you're the person in front of the camera, behind the camera, I'm obviously speaking of position of privilege in this, coming from working full time and then had a bit of savings, so I can just go like, right, I'll give myself a year. If I don't get any freelance work for a month, it's not the end of the world. And I don't need to get a part-time job to make sure that I can make sure that whatever comes through, I'm focused 100% on it.
Position of privilege, but also that's your own hard work to get there. You know?
But I also just can't tell people, the way you can make a social media channel work is just a quick
But
job.
what is, so this is my question, because it came up a lot, is what is your advice for people that are creating content online? Both from either like a production point of view of you actually creating it, or if you were setting up a channel tomorrow to be created, like what's your advice for that person? And you've got to imagine this is like 17, 18-year-old boy who like maybe runs for his local athletics club and he has an iPhone.
I'd go 50-50 of make half the content that you make it stuff that you want to make and make it to the best of your ability, and when you watch it back you go, that is exactly how I wanted it to be, and then the other half do stuff that will make people watch the other half. So whether it's if you're doing a little training diary on TikTok or you get ready with that type of content, if you can then use that to get people in, because if you start making really niche content, it might be fantastic and it might have an audience, but if they're not going to get into it, and you kind of, I don't like the way that's that's the way it works, but that is the way it works.
Well, it's kind of what we have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we do have access to some really, this is no disrespect to anyone, but some really talented athletes that you will have never heard of, or you will have if you're a hardcore athletics fan, but like they don't do much social media stuff because they don't really enjoy it. They don't have many followers, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And we could make something that is valuable content, and it would be quite an interesting look at that athlete, but would it have any sort of reach? And would we sit there and think this is amazing, but if it gets 2,000, 3,000 views, have we done anything that warrants us investing the time to create it, the money it costs to create it, that sort of thing? So we at the moment still have to balance, like, we've not earned the right yet to you as the audience, in my opinion, to create something that we think is great that doesn't appeal to you. I don't think we can just do stuff we enjoy. We still have to be like, okay, we want to enjoy it and find it valuable, but it must meet the criteria that the audience will either like the person because they're charismatic or they've got a good personality.
Exactly.
You might have to either already know the person because you follow them on social media or you've seen them race on TV, or you might have to be a user of the brand that maybe sponsors them or something. So, for example, we did a video with Coros, the watches and the heart rate monitors, the other day. If you're a Coros user, even if you don't know the athletes that are in the video, you might still be like, oh, well, I use a Coros watch, so I have that connection. Fine, I'm going to give it a go and watch the video. I don't think we're at a point yet where we can disrespect the audience and be like, we're going to create whatever we want, and if you don't like it, that's your problem.
Yeah.
We have to think, what does the audience want?
For sure.
As well, which is difficult when you're starting out, because it means if you think about that too much, then all you do is follow trends, and then you don't have anything unique about you, and you just become one of those other people. Yeah, like we know like Philly Bowden, Ben Felton, Benny's Running, like people that would be considered like the top running YouTubers that make like vlog style content on YouTube. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but the harsh reality is, if you start making videos tomorrow, it's going to take you a very long time to catch up the level they're at if you just try and copy what they're doing, because they've been through the grinding phase of having to do it on their phone or build an audience or start from scratch. Now they've got the camera, they've got the resources to go to cool things, they've got the money to do travel and video. It's like, if all you do is try and emulate them, it's going to be very hard to compete. Whereas if you take some elements of that and you say, okay, I like certain stuff that they do, but here's my unique style on it, whether that's using your own personality or using unique connections that you have, or maybe you're making it in a certain environment that they can't be in, like if you're living, I don't know, a tropical country and therefore you're making videos about heat training and different stuff that they can't do, you can see how you could grow your own audience and compete.
Yeah.
So we're very conscious that we don't want to just make videos like FlowTrack, make videos like Citius Mag, make videos like Sweat Elite, make videos like insert other kind of, YouTube channel here. We want to do the distance project stuff that we think is valuable and good, but we have to take inspiration from other channels that have proven, because they're much bigger than us, that they can do good stuff. I think that's maybe I'm just ranting in my own house.
No,
that's how far we've come.
Don't wait until you've got the audience to make stuff that you want to make. However, assume people's YouTube subscription boxes are full and then bring something else to the table. Nothing wrong with going vlogging your races, but make sure that it's not. Take inspiration from other people's content, but assume that they don't want to watch the same video in different shoes. Yeah, definitely. And what I would say on that, just to wrap up the video, is obviously subscribe, like all that stuff. But one thing that would be really valuable is in the comments below, if you have any opinions on that, and or importantly, if you have any YouTube channels that you particularly enjoy their content because you find it unique, or maybe you used to watch another person on YouTube and through them you found this other character or video, drop a link in the comments, not partly because other people will be interested, but equally for us, you have like a playlist, don't you, of like inspiration videos where it's like all the stuff that you think is cool, and we look through them and we go, okay, we like how the way they use the drone in that, we like the interview style they did in here, or this thumbnail is good. So anything that you like on running YouTube, one, it'd be good to share with other people because you can go in the comments and find some good videos, but equally it'd be good for us to look at as well. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, pop off the algorithm. We're going all the way to the top. Next video you see, we're going to be in our brand new studio. We've just been, no, just kidding. We'll still be in my living room. We'll be posted on TikTok. We're not doing it.
No, we're not. I don't even know how to use it. Cool. I think we're done. 33 minutes. Bumper episode. Nice one.
Oh, that's why it started with half an hour.
Yeah, if there was a little glitch thing, then that's what went wrong. So yeah,
we'll get it right
next week, down but not out video. All about training, rehab, nutrition, all that sort of stuff, and how I'm getting on with the rehab and the walking. So that should be a good, valuable video, I think, and we'll include some popular segments such as the time trial. So be there for that.
Back on 2 feet. Ferocious 1s and 2s.
Yeah, cheers.